We have a Department of Everything. You know what that is? I think that's called the White House. Into a terrible situation caused by a man named Sleepy Joe Biden. He used an Autopen last year for the turkey's pardon. So I have the official duty to determine, and I have determined that last year's turkey pardons are totally invalid.
On November 28th, US President Donald Trump declared that all executive orders signed by his predecessor, President Joe Biden, using an Autopen would be considered null and void. In a post on Truth Social, Trump asserted that around 92% of Biden's orders were signed this way and therefore are hereby terminated and of no further force or effect. He also claimed that Joe Biden was not personally involved in the process and warned that if he says he was, he will be brought up on charges of perjury. The Autopen, patented in the US in 1803, is a device that replicates a person's signature in ink and is often used for bulk signing. According to a 2005 Justice Department guidance, the president may sign a bill by directing a subordinate to affix the president's signature to such a bill, for example, by Autopen. However, the DOJ memorandum emphasized that the president retains authority over the approval process, with the Autopen used solely to replicate the signature once the bill has been approved. Many U.S. presidents have used the Autopen, starting with Thomas Jefferson, according to the Chappelle Manuscript Foundation. Others include Truman, Ford, Johnson, Kennedy, and Obama, who signed bills like the Patriot Act while abroad. In March, Trump said he used it for very unimportant papers. This isn't the first time that former U.S. President Joe Biden's name has been linked to the Autopen. An October report by the House Oversight Committee, led by Republican James Comer, suggested senior White House officials may have used the president's authority or concealed his declining mental and physical condition. The report labels the Biden Autopen presidency as the greatest scandals in U.S. history, though Democrats on the committee criticized it as a sham.
He could not form the requisite mental state to stand trial. He did not have the mental ability to stand trial. And what did our Democrat colleagues say? Vice President Harris says, oh, no. Where are they now? They don't want to answer for any of those quotes now. They lied to us for 4 years, and we know they lied. They know they lied. It's why they're not here. They don't want to answer a single question. They can't bear to show their faces in public. And you know what? It's right that they can't do that, because the bill of goods they sold this country, they walked this country right into one of the greatest constitutional crises of our history. And now they are afraid to even show up to admit it. These are people, and this is a party that cannot be trusted with power. And we should find out the truth of who was really running the White House, because I think we can see it was not Joe Biden. They all changed their tunes after Joe Biden debated President Trump, and the whole world could see he couldn't even form a sentence, that running this guy for president again is a form of elder abuse. My, how they changed their tunes after that. Now they can't even show up in public to talk about it. This is embarrassing. But worse than that, it's dangerous. It is dangerous for this country. And did Joe Biden actually assent to the use of the Autopen and all? You think of all the people he pardoned, he granted clemency to: murderers, drug dealers, child rapists. Let's find out, did he actually authorize?
However, Biden defended his Autopen use, telling the New York Times, "I made every decision," explaining it was for efficiency on clemency warrants involving many people. Trump has long targeted Biden's Autopen use, claiming in March without evidence that Biden's pardons were void, vacant, and of no further force in effect, and repeatedly questioning Biden's cognitive ability to perform presidential duties. Earlier this year, Trump displayed a photo of an Autopen in place of Biden in the White House's new presidential gallery, featuring the device replicating Biden's signature in a copper frame. It is uncertain how Trump intends to reverse most of Biden's actions. While presidents can legally revoke previous executive orders, they cannot overturn their predecessors' pardons. Legal experts say the president cannot overturn a predecessor's pardons, and the Constitution doesn't require a handwritten signature. Experts from Stanford Law notes that Article 2 simply grants the president the power to pardon. Time and again, Trump has accused Biden of using an Autopen, and the latest was during the turkey pardon ceremony. Watch how he mocked the former US president.
It's a big day. It's a pardon day for a very important beast. On behalf of the First Lady and the entire Trump family, I want to wish all Americans a very, very happy Thanksgiving. It's a great time of the year, and our country is doing really well, economically, like we've never done before. Today, we continue a time-honored American tradition. Well, that's a well-trained turkey. See how happy he is? In a few moments, I will grant a full, absolute, and unconditional presidential pardon to two handsome Thanksgiving turkeys, and this is their lucky day. This is a lucky day for them. But before going any further, I want to make an important announcement, because you remember last year, after a thorough and very rigorous investigation by Pam Bondi and all of the people at Department of Justice, the FBI, the CIA, the White House Counsel's Office, and the Department of Everything. We have a Department of Everything. You know what that is? I think that's called the White House. Into a terrible situation caused by a man named Sleepy Joe Biden. He used an Autopen last year for the turkey's pardon. So I have the official duty to determine, and I have determined, that last year's turkey pardons are totally invalid, as are the pardons of about every other person that was pardoned other than, where's Hunter? No, Hunter's was good. That was the one pardon, Pam, that was good, right? The rest of them are all invalid. I don't know what the hell you're going to do about that, but now we're going to take a little of the joking. That is a mess. But they're hereby null and void. The turkeys known as Peach and Blossom last year have been located, and they were on their way to be processed, in other words, to be killed. But I have stopped that journey, and I am officially pardoning them, and they will not be served for Thanksgiving dinner. We saved them in the nick of time. This one has plenty of time, but they were saved in the nick of time.